human rights group is accusing Russia of using banned cluster bombs in Ukraine. Amnesty International said it had uncovered proof of the repeated use of the weapons, which are banned under international conventions. And joining us now is Jean-Baptiste Gallopin. He's a researcher for Amnesty International. Thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon.
Can you first just explain what these weapons are and why are they so dangerous?
So these cluster munitions are released by rockets, and each rocket contains approximately 30 sub-munitions, and they're scattered mid-air over an area of several hundred square meters. And they're therefore inherently indiscriminate, and it's for that reason that they're widely banned. We documented relentless Russian shelling of Kharkiv and indiscriminate attacks across the city with a number of weapons, including these cluster munitions, but also in rockets that are inaccurate, as well as artillery shells. When it comes to cluster munitions specifically, we found 7 strikes on residential neighborhoods, including 1 strike over a neighborhood with high rises, which hit these buildings, as well as a playground where families were gathered with their children, and killing 9 people and injuring 35, as well as a strike on a humanitarian aid delivery site on a parking lot where hundreds of people were waiting in line to receive aid and were hit by cluster munition. And that strike killed at least 6 people and injured at least 15.
You're saying that's concentrated in the Kharkiv region?
Yes. So our report is specifically around Kharkiv, and these Russian shelling of the city started from the first day of the conflict in February and continued intensively until late April, when Russian forces were pushed further away. And it was really devastating to the city. The local health authorities estimate that over 600 people were killed and 1,200 injured in these strikes in the Kharkiv region. And we investigated 41 strikes, which caused at least 62 people to die, as well as over 100 people injured.
Just to underline this, so Russia will target a certain building or location, and then there's a large perimeter of where this bomb will go, and that's why it's so dangerous for civilians who live in the area?
Well, there's 2 considerations here. One is that under international law, forces are obliged to distinguish between military and civilian targets.
Okay.
And they're also obliged to use proportionate force. In this case, they're using weapons which are indiscriminate, meaning they cannot they're not accurate enough to actually distinguish between a military and a civilian target. And to be sure, we did document the presence of Ukrainian forces in some places in the city, and they've endangered civilians by operating near in residential areas. But this in no way justifies the use of indiscriminate weapons in cities, such as cluster bombs or rockets or artillery shells.
Is there any sign that international entities might step in here and do something in response to what you found out?
So, the first thing is that, of course, indiscriminate attacks on residential areas are war crimes. And so, there's a lot of interest on documenting war crimes at the moment in the Ukraine conflict, with, the ICC has a mission there. And of course, the Ukrainian authorities are also working on these issues. And so we are calling on these institutions that have jurisdiction over the conflict to collect and preserve evidence. And we're also calling on any justice process to really include all crimes under international law, and to hold perpetrator to account in impartial and fair and independent trials.
Are you continuing to document the use of cluster bombs in other parts of Ukraine?
We are working on many regions of Ukraine, and of course, the use of cluster bombs is high on our list of crimes to document. But we are working on a number of different violations as well.
Okay, we want to thank you, Jean-Baptiste Gallopin with Amnesty International. Thanks so much for your time.